Internationally known as the Auctionista and Canada's top benefit auction specialist, please welcome to the main stage, Layne.
Hey! What up? What is going on? Hi, Go West people. How are you? 12 of you are doing okay. Let's try that again. How are we all doing right now? Yeah! Oh, I gotta tell you, I'm so excited to be here, and even more excited to be your closing Keynote speaker. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Before I get started, I have a couple of poll questions. So during my speak, make sure you go on there, make sure you answer those polls, and we're gonna take a look at the end. Okay. How many of you fell into your career? Yeah, okay. All right, so I am absolutely not alone. I fell into my career because somebody said, you can't do this. You cannot do this. So 14 years ago, when I was 46, yes, do the math, when I know, not badly preserved, eh? 46 years old. And I did not know that the room that I was about to walk into would forever change the course of my life. And that room, my friends, was a gala dinner and auction. I had never been to one before. I know that sounds super weird, but at age 46, I had never been to one of these charity gala things. I had never experienced any of it, and we were invited by a friend of ours who was an executive director for a women's shelter. So of course, Sue and I said, of course we're gonna go. Absolutely, we're gonna be there, 100%, bells on. I had no idea what to expect, none whatsoever. So we walk into the room, and I see the tables along the back perimeter of the wall, and I see all the things, right? Bed skirts, bread baskets, ugly Afghans. I see all of these things. You know what I'm talking about. It was the most bizarre bazaar I have ever seen. And so, okay, I get how this all works. You gotta write these prices down, you gotta bid on stuff. Yes, we're gonna raise money for the charity. We sit down for the dinner, and then it happened. He approached the stage, solidified himself behind the podium, and the auctioneer had arrived. Great. I had no idea what to expect. But 2 hours later, 120 live auction items later, your mouth is gaping, and so was mine. It was gaping. It was the most jarring, disturbing experience that I have ever imagined. Now, honestly, I didn't know the guy was a livestock auctioneer. How would I know that? I had never been in this situation before. I had no idea, you know, but he was just slamming through the items. There comes the bicycle, there comes the piece of art, there comes the toaster, and the charity thinks that this is all good. And I'm jarred, and I'm actually a little scared of this guy too, because he's just going after the audience. I know you've got money, baby, so you better bring it on. And he'd get his ring person and start pressuring folks, and it was not okay. It was absolutely not okay. But in that very moment, in that instant, I turned to my beautiful wife and I said, Sue, I can do that. She said, honey, come on. You're a financial advisor. You can't do that. And I said, well, I think I can. So, you know, dessert is finished. Buddy's wiping off his brow. He's having his gin and tonic in the back. And I walked up to him. I said, Susie, I'm going to go and talk to this guy. I got to figure out how I could figure out how to do this. So I walked up to him, and I said, hello, Mr. Auctioneer. My name is Layne, and I'm wondering, how would I go about learning to do what you do. Well, he stood there, he looked me up and down, and he said these 8 words. Hey, little missy, this is a generational job. And in that very moment, all I heard was, you are not welcome. This is a closed club. You will fail. And the last thing that was in my mind was, oh, I can do this. I can do this, right? And so it began. And so it began. So, I did my due diligence. I went on the Googler, and it's like, where do when Sue and I first got together, it was like we were kind of new lesbians at the time, and we were trying to figure out, where do all the lesbians go? So we just Googled, where do all the lesbians hang out? Where do they go? What do they do? So we had to figure that out. So I applied the same technique and logic, thank you, to figure out how I could become an auctioneer. So I started Googling, and I started looking into it, and by golly, there's a few auction schools around. I think there's some out west here too, but the auction school that I selected to go to was the Worldwide College of Auctioneering right in Mason City, Iowa, in the Midwest. So I booked the course. I packed the car. I don't know what I was thinking, but I drove. I packed the car, and I said goodbye to Sue, and I said goodbye to our 2 fur babies. I said, RuPaul, you be good for... RuPaul, you be good for Mommy. And Tegan and Sarah, don't chase RuPaul under the bed. So I was equipped. I had my hummus. I had my veggies. I had Whitney Houston CDs to keep me pumped up on the ride, and a little Jan Arden for a little cry. So I was prepared. I was fully prepared. I was ready to go. And I arrived in Mason City, Iowa in the evening. Did you know that it's very dry in Edmonton? I have never felt so dry in my life than I do. I feel like I'm shriveling up. I arrived at auction school, and I walked in the doors, and I walked into the opening reception, and there they were. The cowboy hats, the silver belt buckles, and the cowboy boots. 30 of them. Here was me, the card-carrying lesbian at the time. I had my button-down Oxford shirt, my khakis on, my penny loafers, and I was ready to go. And all I saw and heard in my mind is that auctioneer back home was right. Here they all are. I am the only gay also in the village. But now I know, when I really truly think about that, and I think about it honestly, we know the statistics. I'm sure few of those boys watched Brokeback Mountain a few times, right? Sure they did. They just didn't tell us. Of course not, Alexandra. So here I am at auction school. I register, and I fly up to my hotel room, and I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone, right? And I'm saying that because it was one of those, one of those, right? And I said, Sue, I'm not staying. I'm not staying. This is wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. This is insane. I'm not going to do this. I've changed my mind. Nobody's going to know. I'm just going to slip out during the night, and I'm just going to drive right back home. And she said, no, you're not. No, you are not. You have been talking about this relentlessly for 7 months. You are staying, sweetheart. You can't come home because I'm going to lock the doors. There is no way for you to I'm going to change the locks. There is no way for you to get back in. And I said, okay. And so I stayed. So day one, everybody's going around, they're introducing themselves. It's like, I'm Neil from Memphis. I'm Charlie from Wyoming. And it goes on and on and on. And I get to myself and I said, I'm Layne from Canada. And I get this big applause. And they're like, oh, a Canadian. And I hear a voice, a big booming voice from the back of the room saying, hey, you're from Canada. You speak that other language. And I said, yes, we do. And I thought, wow, somebody taking interest. He says, say something. Say something in that other language. I said, well, that other language is French. And honestly, the only thing I could think of in that moment was, je suis fatigué. I was just like, okay, like I'm already sweating. I am drained from the drive, and my intimidation is off the charts. You know what it feels like to be intimidated. There is not a single person in this room that has not felt that deep, despairing moment where you feel so intimidated that you are in a position that is so uncomfortable. And you're feeling vulnerable. That's the word of the week. And that was me. I have never, ever in my life felt anything so visceral and so overwhelming as I did at auction school. So I spent 7 days at auction school. And I learned not how to chant, because I can't do it. We learned number sequences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all this kind of stuff, back and forth and up and down and every day, 12 hours a day. But on top of that, we also learned about all the strains of auctioneering, right? Livestock, jewelry, all the things, real estate. And then the fundraising auctioneer came, and I was just mesmerized. I was just, that is what I want to do. So after a week of tongue twisters, after a week of feeling almost defeated, because literally I couldn't do the chant. All these boys are like, they're just going, hey, hey, and they're just going on, and I'm like, I'm bid $1 now $2 now $3, and it didn't go so well. It didn't go so well. But how did I feel at the end of that week? I went in feeling so intimidated, so vulnerable. But by the end of the week, I had made friends. I had made friends with a lot of these guys. And they were okay. And they were cool. And they were doing their thing. And maybe I just prejudged them a little bit. But you know what? They were okay. And at the end of the day, I got my diploma. So we all went through the diploma process. We all got our certificates. And I'm ready to leave. And I hear somebody calling me from the back. Layne, Layne, Layne. And I'm like, who's calling me? Do you remember that guy that said, hey, speak that other language? So this big burly guy comes up to me and he says, Layne, you know, it's been a really great week. I learned how to auction chant. I've learned how to do all this stuff. And you know what? Now I can go home back to Alabama. I can go back to Alabama and I can tell my ma and pa that I know how to say something in French. And he says, je suis fat and gay. What am I going to say to that? Yes, you are. And yes, I am. And we are all very tired because it's been a very long week. So that's the way my auction school week ended. So it's time to go back home and kind of go on this next journey. And that was really when the hard stuff started. Remember, this is many moons ago. It's not that many moons ago, but it's moons ago enough. When I got back to Ontario, I had nobody as a role model. I had nowhere to begin to figure out my marketing plan, my business model. I didn't know what I was doing. None of the auctioneers tell you how much they earn. They don't talk about that. So I have no idea what my pricing should be. So I start figuring this out. And the one major thing that I spent probably 3 years doing was converting charities' mindsets from free to fee. Layne, thank you. Yes, because what each of us do, we're skilled professionals. We bring a lot of value to the table. So that was the first big hurdle. So the very first year, I did 6 events, and I made a whopping $500. Because they would say to me, Layne, but he's free. Why would I pay you? Why would I pay you? Well, because I'm amazing and I can sell, and I'm going to do pre-event consulting, and I'm going to help you build your live auction and help you reach your revenue goals with your fund of need and all of this stuff. So, my very first event, I was asked by a hospital foundation to do a golf tournament for them. And it was a referral through somebody I knew. So I ended up going and having a conversation with the person in charge, and they said, well, we're interested, but we kind of just want to test you out. It's going to test you out, and we'd like you to do it for free. And I said, you know what? No. You got to pay me $250 a chicken dinner and a sound check, and then I'll do it, right? But I got that first sale. I got that first sale, and it felt amazing. And I'm sure that I completely undervalued what I brought to the table. And how I know that is that at the end of that golf tournament, at the end of that live auction, this person came up to me and said, I have never seen anything like this before, and you just raised more money in that live auction than anybody has before in this annual event. And I was like, all right. All right. And you know what? It didn't matter if I couldn't chant. I didn't have to go blah, 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 blah. No, it doesn't matter. That's, you know, I can throw some of that stuff. You know what? I just make my own shit up as I go, right? I figured it out. But by that time, I had transitioned from being a financial advisor. I was in fund development. I decided, hey, I really like this whole fundraising thing. So I gave up my career as a financial advisor, and I was in fund development, which then started kind of opening up new contacts for me. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do a few more events. And what ended up happening is my business doubled every single year, which was fantastic. And then I got to a point where I actually had to make a decision. Do I give up my full-time job and go full-time auctionista? And in that moment in my life, it was the right thing to do. I had built my business brick by brick. I had built my foundation. I was a financial advisor, cash flows, all of that stuff. I understood all that. So I had come to a place where my business was healthy, right? And I thought, wow, okay, if I could commit myself 100% to this thing, and I could nurture and feed and love up my business, it is going to love me back. And it did. And that was a beautiful moment. So, you know, I was at that time, that was 2014. I was doing mostly small and medium charities, and things were going well. But I wish that I could say that all was going smoothly. because the gender discrimination piece was always there. And as an event professional, in a non-binary event professional in a seemingly binary world, my experience was at times extremely challenging and difficult. And let me give you a couple of examples. I was at a committee meeting for a private school, talking about the live auction, talking about the gala, all, very, very shiny, very, I'm dressed very similarly to the way I am. And the director of philanthropy says to me, Layne, it's a pretty fancy event. Would you be willing to wear a ball gown? I know, I can laugh about it too, Alexandra, but I want you to feel perhaps what I might have felt in that moment. Feel with me. I am in front of 20 committee, and this is what I get. It's not a discussion about Layne, what's your opinion on this live auction package, and where should we do it, and what do we do about this? No, it's about my appearance, and maybe how their guests would perceive me. Needless to say, that was the one and only time that I worked with that charity. They were no longer qualified to be my client. The second situation that I'm going to tell you about, and this is one of many, trust me, happened while I was performing live. I was in the middle of a live auction. I was selling and selling and selling and selling, going back and forth with a couple of bidders, doing my thing, and come on, let's go, baby. Would you go, would you go, would you go, would you go one more time? Would you go, would you go? And he looks at me and he said, are you a girl or a boy? While I'm performing in front of 300 people, and I have to take all that motion and feeling on. Do you know that I wanted to cry? I had to keep on going. Like it didn't affect me. My answer was, does it really matter? Does it matter? These are my experiences. These are my experiences. And they have not stopped. And they continue. But at this stage of the game, I just kind of call people out and call a spade a spade. And, it's let's take that moment for some education. Let's take that moment for some education. No, my pronouns are they, them. And I'm not three people. And if you don't know if you don't understand that, look it up and educate yourself, right? So, yeah. So, when we talk about breaking the stereotype, male-dominated industry, number one. So much stereotyping around that. And then coming into this industry as myself, fully myself. I can't chant fast. I can't do all that stuff, but I found a way, the Layne way of doing things, because it's a true reflection of who I am. Who I am as a person and how I perform is an extension of me. So here we are in 2023, and I have a thriving business. I've got great staff. I perform across Canada. It's great. I've raised millions of dollars. I do all the shiny events, and I still do lots of, smaller events. I do it all. And I love my business. But there came a point also where I decided to make a stand on the word auctioneer, because simply that wasn't resonating with me. I was not connecting with that title at all. So I said, okay, what am I? What do I do? And what word truly represents the art form and the service that I bring? And I started to call myself a philanthrotainer. Philanthrotainer. So in 2023, this is what your auctioneer looks like. This is what your philanthrotainer looks like, right? In fact, all of you look like philanthrotainers. All of you could be philanthrotainers, So, I ask you, would you break the stereotype if you knew you could find your superpower? what if you just walked forward down that road and said, you know what, I'm going there, because you might find greatness on the other side. And in all these years, all the shiny events and all the beautiful people that I've met, I mean, sure, I can go over the accolades, but you know, it was all distilled in one moment for me back in November at AFP Congress in Toronto. I had a young female auctioneer from the Toronto area tap me on the shoulder, Layne. And I know of her. She's a car auctioneer by day, and she does fundraising auctions on the weekends and evenings. And she said, Layne, I've been following you for years. And I just want to say, because of you, I found the strength in myself to change my appearance when it comes to auctions. And I'm going to explain that. She said, it's such a male world, and I'm in a car auction business, and I'm with men every single day. And I would go to a fundraising gala at night, and I would automatically think, I need black pants and a black suit, and I just have to blend in. But she said to me, because of you, I have now stepped out of that. I have found my comfort in my authenticity, and I wear tight ball gowns when I'm doing a fundraising auction. And I was like, yeah, you go, girl. You go, girl. That is exactly, lean into it. Be authentic and hold yourself high, right? Don't ever change yourself. People don't want you to change yourself. And stay true and stay unique. So, you know, let's kind of go back to the beginning. Let's go back to those 8 words. Hey, little Missy, this is a generational job. I think about those words almost every single day. They are indelibly etched in my mind. But today, I sit back and I smile because I think, buddy, I proved you wrong. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm hoping, did you do the poll questions? Did everybody do them? If you didn't, let's get on there now. Okay, let's take a look. Have you experienced gender Wow. How does everybody feel about that? That's got to change, kids. That's got to change now. And you know how that changes? You got to call people out on their shit. That's the bottom line. You don't let anybody discriminate against your gender. All right. Let's see our second poll question. See what everybody's saying. Question number 2. Let's see. What would happen if you broke the stereotypes and ignored the what-ifs? I would feel proud. I don't let my what-ifs hold me back. I would be stressed. Yeah, it's scary. I would succeed. Most of you would feel proud, and you should feel proud. Awesome. Thank you all so very much. I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been to share my story with you. I hope you have a great rest of the conference. And if we haven't met, come on. Come and see me. Let's have a high five. And take care and enjoy the rest of your day.